father must choose between his mother and his family.
I asked God for grace and mercy because I didn't expect to walk back out.
You can hear it!
Mid-afternoon on April 28, 2014, in Louisville, Mississippi, a violent EF4 tornado tears into town.
Big tornado!
It leaves 10 dead and etches a 34-mile scar across the earth.
This happened at 3:51, just before 4 o'clock. So you've got people on the road in harm's way in this long-running storm, on the ground for an hour. It's got a lot of spin, a lot of rotation, a lot of power to make a run that long.
Louisville is a quaint southern town of roughly 6,500 people that has weathered its share of storms. But on the morning of April 28th, school bus driver Clifton Haynes Sr. sees it as just a normal day.
I had listened to the weather the night before, but in my mind, it's just gonna be one of those days that we had a lot of rain, maybe a little wind.
Clifton Haynes Sr. has been a bus driver for the Louisville School District for 16 years. And that afternoon, he's looking forward to visiting with his son, who is in town for work.
I'm a minister. I work in West Point, Mississippi. It's about 50 miles north of Louisville.
But after work, as Clifton parks his bus at home, the weather starts to change and prompts an anxious call from his 82-year-old mother who lives next door.
At that point, my mother called, and she needed some batteries for her flashlight, just in case the lights go off.
Clifton promises his mother he'll come over in a few minutes.
The wind started picking up a little bit, and I told my mother that I need to get in the house for a second and check out my family.
Before Clifton heads inside, he sees a single piece of hail bounce off the ground.
My dad comes in and he says, "I thought I saw one drop of hail." And he said, anytime there's hail, there's something behind it.
Clifton Sr. gets his wife, son, daughter, and granddaughter Ava to pile into the master closet for safety, then heads back out to make sure his mother is also taking cover. But as he steps outside, he sees a wall of clouds just beyond his house.
This thing seemed like a half a mile wide. It was low to the ground. I'm still thinking it's just a big, huge cloud. But as it got closer, and that's when I started hearing it vibrating.
Clifton doesn't have time to reach his mother's, because what he sees next stops him dead in his tracks.
The whole forest just fell, just like dominoes.
A giant tornado is moments from reaching them. For a split second, Clifton looks between his mother's house down the street and his own.
I want to help my mother, but after seeing the force of that, I knew that there was nothing I could do but get out of his way.
Helplessly, Clifton turns away from his mother's house.
I asked God for grace and mercy because I didn't expect to walk back out.
Clifton rushes back to his wife, son, daughter, and granddaughter in the master closet.
My dad, he has a look on his face that I've never seen my dad have before. He looked like he had seen a ghost. And he said, "Y'all take cover, it's coming, and it's big."
Coming up, a family's survival turns bittersweet.
My heart sank. I said, "What about Granny?"
50% chance of a tornado.
Tornado
within
on
50
the ground
miles.
now being reported, and there are...
On April 28, 2014, the epic force of an EF4 tornado is about to change the course of the Haynes family forever. Too late to protect his 82-year-old mother in her house next door, Clifton rushes back inside his home to huddle with his family and brace for impact.
I say, look, it's a monster, and it's coming directly at us. And no soon as I got that out of my mouth, we started hearing like bombs being dropped outside.
Everything went dark, and that's when the house just started vibrating.
The sucking noise and the grinding noise sounded like it was just gonna suck us out of there. The walls caved in from the middle. And the force of that tornado sucked the doors off of the closet. Joists from the ceiling fell right in front of my head.
You could see debris and gray dirt basically above your head. And at that point, I just knew we're gonna die.
Then, just as quickly as the tornado came, it passes over them.
When the storm stopped, we pull the blankets off and we start screaming each other's names. And at that point, everybody had responded except from Ava, the 2-year-old.
My daughter was screaming like, "Where is my baby?"
That's when my sister went hysterical.
Clifton Jr. frantically searches for baby Ava. Miraculously, he finds her a couple hundred feet away.
So I picked up the baby. The baby's fine. And at that point, I was in disbelief that we were alive.
As the family surveys the immediate damage, they realize death was truly at their doorstep.
The force of the tornado had blown my school bus right at the door. If it had came on in, it would probably crushed us.
The initial overwhelming shock of being alive suddenly turns to gut-wrenching despair.
My heart sank. I said, what about Granny?
Father and son look to where Grandma Maddie's house used to be.
I'm panicking. It's like somebody dropped an atomic bomb there. I wanted to go and see, was she still alive?
That's when I lost it. There is no way a human being survived that.
Suddenly, in the distance, Clifton Sr. sees movement in the rubble. It's his mother, Maddie.
We seen my mother walk from around this big root ball, and I'm wondering, did something happen to her head? Because she was just walking oddly.
Maddie stumbles around in severe shock.
I got up. I cut my leg real bad. My knee was cut. And I looked around and I see them in the yard. And I hollered and they hollered back at me.
When I saw my grandmother, I was more happy in that moment than after the tornado, and I realized I was still alive.
It was like God gave her back.
A week later, Clifton Sr. and his son begin picking up the pieces of their lives.
I lost the home I grew up in, and I lost my home. I always tried to maintain a home where my family could come together, and we had that no more.
But to Clifton's surprise, Louisville jumps to his family's rescue.
People came from everywhere. I thought going through civil rights, there was a bigger divide for as race in my city of Louisville. I had no idea that Louisville had so much love, really. And I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
In an EF4 tornado, like the one Clifton and his family faced, a school bus has the potential to become a 14-ton wrecking ball. But in a surprising twist of fate, could the bus that Clifton parks in front of his house become the thing that saves his life? At Cal State Los Angeles, Dr. Robert Frisbee uses a wind tunnel to put this scenario to the test.
By using wind tunnels, we're able to simulate how the aerodynamics of the bus interacted with the tornado winds to ultimately shield the bottom part of Clifton's house and save him and his family.
The experimental wind tunnel is 4 feet long and capable of 50-mile-per-hour wind speeds, a mere quarter of what hit Louisville during the tornado.
In the real story, the family was inside the house, but we've moved them outside for clarity.
As the tunnel's fan is turned on, a stream of carbon dioxide reveals how the air is circulating.
The white lines corresponding to the airflow around the bus, around the tree, and around the house.
At low speeds, the air circulates more freely, affecting only smaller pieces of debris.
You can now see a little bit of the debris starting to lift up as the airspeed increases. And there's the bus going.
Cranked up to the maximum, the air rams into the broadside of the bus. It compresses, creating an increase in pressure. The compressed particles then lift up and over.